What up, nerds? I'm looking at what better TTV is even.
It is what
Get
it
it
is.
set up eventually. Right now we're just waiting for the games to start. Probably makes more sense that we do this thing. Where it is. Noise. Yeah, I went to it, but it's a browser
King's gonna matter.
extension that
with
doesn't seem
platinum
to.
gold player.
Are they complaining about ping?
They're like, what
They're
server do you wanna
asking
play on?
about it, but
They're
I
like,
mean,
let me check to see what ping
it doesn't
we have.
matter.
Like,
So I installed the extension. I think it does work from the
Oh,
forum. Let's look at that.
who's Floral? Oh, it's the guy.
guy I'm playing,
And you said he's platinum?
he's like gold. I don't know.
What?
He's 2800 MMR.
Oh my goodness. He might cheese. Oh.
Oh.
Caleb,
What?
hurry up.
I don't even play yet. Calm down.
I
I don't even play yet.
That is freaking huge, bruh.
Smash Brothers?
Yeah.
Hey.
Give that to me in Discord. I can't even copy paste it.
Oh, what should I play on the phone?
Floral
Any game
has
recommendation?
the same ping for Central and West. Mind if I spectate? Yeah, no problem.
Thank you.
Ah, they're stupid.
Oh, I should have made my name Korean too. Unlucky.
Junie, is that Korean name? I thought that was the Korean name.
It can be.
It can be.
Yeah.
I'll get it set up later.
Okay.
Good luck, have fun, guys. I'm hopping out.
Yeah, see ya. See ya.
Why are you leaving?
Dog concert.
Here we go. All right, this is gonna be a stupidly short game. It's a Master League player versus someone who is in gold right now. He dropped from platinum. So, yeah. Keep your expectations really low. Oh, and they picked custom colors. Yeah, but in the upper right corner, we have representing UVU, Doc Coaster, the man, the myth, the legend. And in the purple Zerg, down at the left, Pickles. Which, Pickles are normally in green. He did have the opportunity to pick it. Don't know why he didn't. I expect to see just like normal stuff from, well, at least Doc. Let's see what we get from Pickles. Doc likes doing some more aggressive stuff. So, we'll probably see him hit him on 2 or 3 bases. The second Overlord just barely goes out. The Observer chat is top freaking notch. Your money should be on gold. It's just the right thing. Just got a wall off coming. Gonna take a fast natural, probably even before Cybernetic score. Hatch first from the Zerg. And other than that, pretty much everything's just going to be standard. Yeah, we got a simulator coming up, so probably means Stargate at some point. Sitting there ready to start gathering. Jeez. But Doc is going up on minerals, so chances are it's going to be the Nexus. Have our 17 extractor and spawning pool. Pretty normal, all in all. Nexus comes up on here. Just keep building all of their units. I honestly think it was a huge mistake for Pickles to go a more standard opening. He probably should have gone something like spawning pool first and tried to get through before the wall off's done. But at this rate, he'll have a second gateway and a zealot to completely block this off, and he won't be able to get any damage in. Because when you're not as good as your opposing player, you kind of have to assume that you're going to be playing from behind. You have to play more riskily, take more risks. So we actually have an Adept coming out, probably going to see a second one, and then a Stargate. Yep, there it is. The Overlord is going to see the Adept, which is being chrono boosted out, but the Void Ray that I assume is going to come out of this, potentially Oracle, I think it's a safe bet that it will just take this Overlord out. But we have the singular Adept moving across the map. Right now, they do have Queens as well as 4 Zerglings up. Right now, worker count actually favors .coaster thanks to Chrono Boost, but now that Queens are out, we should see those workers for Pickles to start to pick up. So Stargate's done. See, it is a Void Ray. So that means they're going to take out this right here. And then you're going to see some aggression from behind. Most likely after this Void Ray, we're going to see a Oracle coming out. It's actually rallied behind, so he might not be going for the Overlord. He might try to get 2 or 3 up before he reveals them. But see what he does with these 2 Adepts right now, or if he even tries anything. We haven't had any more Zerglings come up other than these 4. So 4 Zerglings actually does not beat 2 Adepts. But with that Queen helping out, it will. Although the Queen's being mismicroed with the drones, that's a pretty big mistake. And we had a couple of Zerglings go down there. Or, I'm sorry, drones. We had 4 drones lost. But that is still there. We do see a second Void Ray coming out. And our first Void Ray is taking out the Scouting Overlord. Presumably this one as well. The third going down for our Protoss. The third is already up with our boy Pickles. Eventually girl, I have no idea. But we got Spore Crawlers coming up in each of the base in reaction to the double Void Ray. They're continuing. Ooh, second Stargate. So there's a chance he might go a little more heavily into this. Those Spore Crawlers against 3 of ye oldie Void Rays isn't going to be able to do a whole lot. Really pretty passive game from both players. The 2 Adepts came in, got a couple kills. But nothing really major. The creep spread is not looking super great, so taking this 4th base is going to be a little harder. It hasn't even connected the 3rd base yet, which is unfortunate. Let's check how many queens we got. So far we've got 4, which is a decent number. But they might be able to pick off 1 or 2 of these queens before the Void Rays go down. We do have 3 out on the field, all making their way towards the opposing base. Really oversaturated on this base, which is a huge mistake because there's 3 drones here. Overall, it just seems like Pickles is a bit stressed to be playing against a Master League player. But the game is hardly over. So we've got the Extractor going down. Just delaying some of that resource gathering. 1 Queen goes down, good micro, getting the one with low shields off into the back. They're not focus firing correctly, so that's a little unfortunate. But they will be forced back by the arrival of these other 2 Queens. we have Charge coming up as well. So I would expect to see a Templar Archives coming up in just a little bit. Presumably to go with Charge Lot Archon to deal with those Zerglings that they're building into. It looks like we are going Hydraling Bane in the Zerg with the Hydralisk Den coming up, as well as +1 ranged, but it seems a little bit dicey. He's floating a lot of minerals right now, as opposed to the almost none of my boy Nate. But we'll have to see which direction this ends up going. Creep Spread doing a little better. Thankfully have connected the bases. I am a bit concerned about the lack of a 4th base from the Zerg. As a Zerg, you generally want to be 1 base up on your opponent, but that's not happening. And actually, instead of a Templar Archives, we are getting a Robo Bay. So maybe there's some concern about burrowed units, and so we're maybe going to see a... oh yeah, we do see 2 observers come out, and then immediately the robotics base. So instead of Storm, it looks like we're going to go for some Disruptors, which I think is just fine. They're very good against this rather brittle composition of Hydraling Bane. Pickles also has managed to get his bank down a little bit, but if we look at the income tab, it's heavily favoring our Protoss player, even though they're on the same number of bases, and that's just because he took a very long time to reassign drones to this 2nd base, as well as these spore crawlers in the mineral lines that are kind of slowing down production. Ooh, we actually only have 5 workers on the main. It looks like they never did rebuild those drones. The Adepts took care of. A lot of voids at the front. See the 4th base for Protoss coming out, but there's also a big... Ooh, they're actually committing the Queens here. The Banelings being morphed on the high ground. That's questionable. Thankfully, he did cancel those. Doc did end up canceling this base as well, which I think is the correct decision. He's going to be losing probably most of these Void Rays. They don't trade particularly well against Hydra, especially with a couple of Queens in the back for transfuses. But all in all, we haven't really actually lost all that much. We lost 3 Zealots as well as 1 Pylon. We've lost quite a bit as the Zerg. We got 2 Disruptors currently coming out. With 1 already on the field. These should, if they are microed correctly... Oh, that's going to be huge disruption. Unfortunately, didn't take out a couple of those Queens, but it landed on what really mattered. And the transfuses come out, so it's almost like it didn't happen, which is unfortunate. That disruption really needs to hit the much squishier Hydralisk with 90 HP as opposed to the Queen with almost 200. Alright, and that offensive is cleaned up, and if we look into the units tab, we only have a pitiful 28 army supply for Pickles. He might try to expand here, but I feel like that would be a bit dangerous considering his army supply. He can't really afford a drone up now. We really just want to see this production tab full of Hydralisks, as well as a couple of Zerglings so that we can get Baneling shots in on the Zealots, but so far we're not seeing that. Now this really is, in my opinion, the biggest mistake that's been made so far. That attack did accomplish something. Perhaps he should have backed out as soon as he saw the Disruptors. But the fact that he hasn't taken this 4th is really quite concerning. Thankfully, he did take the 4th at a little bit of an unorthodox position, because if they do get up on this high ground here, it's really hard to push back. You don't really have that defensive boost that the high ground gives you. But we got a lot of Disruptors on the front line here, so it doesn't really matter how many Hydralisks we have, because they're going to be constantly zoned by these Disruptor shots. 3rd base is going down. If we look at our Protoss's view, he does see this, and will be probably taking that out before he moves on to the 2nd. Pickles is actually coming in, and oh, that Disruptor shot. Yikes. Even hitting the cocoons to try to get the reinforcements to die, and it looks like he will manage that. None of these will end up popping, which is a good number of Hydralisks that are denied. We also have a Dark Shrine coming up in the back, as well as that Templar Archives. We didn't see Storm which is kind of unfortunate, but those Archons coming in are going to be great, and the Disruptors will pretty much fill the spot. Unfortunately, he shouldn't have had that picked off. Really, that's quite an expensive unit to lose, but currently nearly doubling the supply of the Zerg player, so doesn't really seem to make much of a difference. As well as a 5th base coming up, he's not taking any chances. The more than double army supply and a pretty hefty worker supply lead as well. 2-2 attack versus 2-1 attack, and just significantly more APM. It's a little unfortunate to see. We do have the 1 Zealot sitting and watching the 4th, 3rd going down again. Still quite a bit of minerals as well as gas on this, but it's definitely Doc's game to lose. Long range mining. Oh, we do actually have this 4th coming up. Archons in the front, doing very good damage. Ooh, and a Disruptor shot even hitting the couple of Banelings he had morphing in. That is GG. Right, and we should be having another game, a 2v2 coming up. Potentially 2 based on the number of if UVU does lose this 3rd game, but given that UVU has already won 2 matches, it seems unlikely that this 3rd game is going to go the way of Rice University. We're getting the next game set up, and we'll be right back. Now we have that game being set up right now. Looks like we're gonna have to do this the getaway. Okay. Invite me. Would you
What?
mind streaming so that I can watch too?
I'm
I can stream.
Or are you the two playing right now? If that's the case, don't worry about it. I'll find somebody else.
I can stream.
I saved the day.
You saved the day?
I figured that's something I can tell.
Yeah. Like, you're walling off wrong, man.
What?
You're walling off wrong, man.
I didn't tell him that either.
Here we go. I need. Might get it. There we go. So we'll just have to look at whatever they're looking at, but that's fine. It's not like the other university cares if we actually get to see the game. We've got Dot Coaster, Protoss player from the previous match, as well as Igneal as Terran in the blue. And then we have the light blue Terran from the other team, whose name we will probably see later, if he ever clicks on one of their units. And then the red Zerg, who is already up on 3 bases, which I feel like is definitely what you want to do. It does make it a little difficult to figure out what's going on when this is what we see. 2v2s are a little bit different than the 1v1s that we watched, and the big reason behind this is that there we go. The main reason for that is you can have one player kind of tech up quickly and another player play a little bit more aggressively to cover your butt. Or you could play both super aggressively, super early, have twice the power. It really means that the unit composition and build order you pick is more important. This particular map, it's pretty easy to take that second base. A little hard to take your third base, which would be here, for these two teams, or here, for the North team, Rice University. But the further you go on, the harder it is to continue to take bases, because all 3 of these positions are pretty hard to get, especially this one. This is a gold base, so you will mine minerals significantly faster at that one. But that's essentially all that matters for this map. It's a mirrored gold basis right there. We do see Hellions coming through and roasting a couple of Zerg drones to a crisp, which is great. I doubt we're going to see too many Hellion, just because against any player that's going Roach, which is very common in these games, and we see the Roach worm popping up right here, they will do virtually no damage. So that's probably the last Hellions we're going to see. It looks like 2 more are going out, but hopefully he's not moving into big production. I'd much rather see Widow Mines coming out of a reactor factory than anything else. Ooh, we actually have a drop from the blue Terran to the main of the other blue Terran. It's going to do a ton of damage because we saw that those Hellions were on the other side of the map. They have recently returned, but these Void Rays aren't really going to be able to do much. They did manage to snipe the medevacs, so there's no escape for these Marines, but it doesn't look like they're trying to escape too hard. Oh, and the SCVs are being pulled off the mineral line, and only 1 left, so they should be fine, but that's a lot of losses. A lot more than his Hellion run by managed to get on the opposing Zerg. But we do see a 3rd base coming up for Protoss, which is reassuring. Ooh, and a battle cruiser on the other side of the map. That's quite surprising, actually. Quality is ultra low, but you know, it's whatever. I guess that's what happens when you have to Discord stream the game. Ugh, this hurts. But these 2 Vikings are probably going to end up taking down the battlecruiser. I'd like for it to just turn around and try to get a little bit of damage off, because it does not outrun these things. And that was some micro that didn't necessarily need to be wasted. There's a 3rd base going down for the Terran, the light blue Terran as well, while our dark blue Terran has yet to get his 3rd. So we'll say that the Rice University team has a slight advantage, but those Void Rays are looking a little bit scary, especially because we know that the Zerg is going to be leaning more heavily into Roach production. Roaches can't shoot up, and even if they could, Void Rays absolutely annihilate them. And we see also the gold Protoss playing very defensively. We got a couple shield batteries in the front, and a lot of sentries to block off any units that might try to get underneath the Void Rays. So, it seems unlikely that any push is going to have too much of an effect right now. Even with double Widow Mines accompanying this little Marine force, I don't think it'll mean a whole lot. What I find interesting is we haven't yet seen the red Zerg player come to reinforce the light blue Terran. So that means that this is most likely going to be a bit of a hard sell. We do see a couple of red units streaming down. Let's see if they get here in time. A little bit of miss micro. We did have a really strong Widow Mine hit. Manset are already being taken off, which is the correct decision. But here come the Void Rays. And oh boy, it does look like a little too much. Also better positioning for both of the Rice University players with the concave. That will enable more of their units to fire at once. But we have SCVs being pulled from the line, and we're going to see if they're going to be able to hold this here. Right now, the medevacs are enabling those Marines to survive much, much longer than they would have, but ultimately it does look like they're going to be forced back. Funnily enough, we actually do have a hidden base from our dark blue Igneal. We'll see if that ever gets scouted. But right now, thankfully they pulled up the income town. We can kind of see what's going on. Right now, the red Zerg is clearly in the lead, about matching the gas income for our Protoss player, but significantly outpacing in the minerals, with dark blue lagging far behind because he did have to relift this base. He lost a lot of workers in his main, and he's definitely going to have to play catch up. Hopefully, Doc Coaster can cover him until that SCV count is able to be raised. We did see a couple of light blue units going around this left side, but they haven't come down to check and see if there's a base there, which is very, very lucky for Igneal. On the right side, we also see 2 more bases, one already finished and one more being taken for the Zerg. and one being taken from the Protoss. Taken for the Protoss. Although, ooh, this drop is going to spot this base, and there's no way. He's going to have to cancel the orbital and fly it away as soon as possible. It seems unlikely that he's going to be able to get it out, though. That's a lot of units. So that's another hit, but thankfully the income tab is already looking better for him. He did get that third base saturated finally. See a decent force of roaches on the minimap moving out to the north base of Dot Coaster. Right now there's a lot of probes streaming to it and not a whole lot of defenses. So we can already see that it was canceled and those pylons there are being taken out with a whole drop coming in the middle. That siege tank being hit right on top of it. We're going to probably see these tanks sieged up in just a second. Oh, siege up the tanks. Siege up your tanks, please, please, please siege up there you go, there you go. But it looks like they're just going to come down to this natural, and I doubt many of these SCVs will survive. Reaction time just a little too slow, but with this carrier coming in, it looks like actually they'll be able to save the bulk of these workers. In the meantime, that fifth base trying to be retaken is being attacked. We got a whole bunch of corruptors up there to hopefully try to deal with the carriers coming out from Dot Coaster. So this Red Zerg is definitely the scariest player on the map right now. Able to deny the fifth base again, just pulls out because why lose any more units? This fifth base taking damage, but the repair should... Oh, he stopped repairing! Why did he stop repairing? Oh no! Oh, he just barely saves it. That was a critical save right there. If he had lost that third base again, then he effectively would have been a non-factor in this game. But with the siege tanks out in the front, hopefully he'll be able to keep that from falling again. And we do see attack briefly knocked back at the north here. It's really difficult for interceptors to fight into that many, or it's difficult for that many corruptors to fight into that number of interceptors. They tend to want to focus fire the carriers. Oh, and we got a lot more all of a sudden coming. So the carriers are getting focus fired right now. And the Archons are doing what they can, but it seems unlikely that Dot Coaster is going to be able to hold this one. We do see a couple of blue units streaming down, but Hellions and Cyclones, just a couple of them aren't going to save this army. The Disruptor shots are good, so we did take out a whole bunch of those roaches, but considering that the Red Zerg is already on 5 bases, it seems unlikely that that's going to make much of a difference. Ooh, that Disruptor is surviving with barely 1 health. In the meantime, we got more little Marine run-bys from the light blue player. A couple Widowmine shots going off. Let's see if these other two managed to burrow. Nope, they did get taken out. Oh, these siege tanks weren't siege, though. Thankfully, he does have a couple on the right that are able to get some shots in, but he will lose both of those tanks on the front. Cyclone's coming in to try to take care of the medevacs, expensive units that you don't really want gathering energy up. But he did even save one of those 2 tanks that were on the front, so that was extremely lucky, I would say. Definitely the kind of thing you want. In the meantime, Red is currently amassing another army. Looks like the injects are a little bit slow because we do see those queens have a lot of energy. So that might explain why he hasn't been able to rebuild his force quite as fast as he would like. We got Banelings mixed in this time. Ooh, but the storms... looks like a lot of those did miss the Corruptors, which are the primary thing you want to worry about. And the roaches just keep moving forward. Storms are excellent against lower health units because they kill them so quickly. Examples of that being Banelings, Zerglings, Hydralisk. But considering there were so few Lings and Banelings within that army, the storms ended up kind of just being meh. And considering how far behind they are, they need a lot more than meh. Ooh, Widowmine shots are both good. A lot of Marines taken down there. The Vikings being landed, they should be able to clean this up, especially with a whole bunch of charge lots streaming in from the right side. However, we do see a lot of red right above that 4th base of Dot Coaster, so we should be expecting another attack here pretty soon. It looks like they don't have detection with it, so those Dark Templar are going to be able to do some pretty serious damage, provided that they don't just get hit by Banelings, because when Banelings are killed, they still do deal damage to invisible units. out, and we see him backing off already. Those Banelings are all gone, and those Dark Templars will have free reign until a Overseer gets added to this Corruptor Roach army. I would really like to see something other than Roaches being thrown into the mix right now. I think he has a good Corruptor count. There has been a lot of carriers put out by the Protest player anyways, so we want something that's a little more robust, a little more capable of dealing with a wider range of things from the Red Zerg. And he's actually now being pushed back into his cluster of base 4 through 6. So we'll have to see on the mini-map, because that's the only place we can see it, how that goes. In the meantime, Light Blue has forced this third base back. It looks like a lot of the SCVs were saved, but considering his income currently is only 600 minerals per minute with 31 workers, that's just pretty unfortunate. Those tanks on the ramp need to be sieged. Oh, you can't just walk them in underneath the Liberators. They're both taken out without being able to do any damage. And so we do see the orange Protoss streaming over to help. But once more, we just got more red amassing in the top. It doesn't look like the Protoss was able to do much economic damage, with 3k minerals still coming in every minute for that Zerg player with their 83 workers. So it's a little bit concerning. Although there's a bit of an attack on this left side. A lot of charge lots, a lot of DTs. While those are planetary fortresses, I would still expect them to take a lot of damage. We even see a couple of the units out at front moving back to try to defend against this. If I were the red player, I think now would definitely be the time to start hitting the Protoss again, especially because they're beginning to be mined out and every shot counts. Looks like the second planetary will fall, so that's a lot of economic damage being done. And those DTs are actually just still going. There's a Zealot still trying to get a couple of worker kills, but it looks like they're going to be cleaned up. But man, he pulled back all of those Liberators from the front, which is rather unfortunate. Ooh, we got Broodlords now, actually, from the red Zerg. Unfortunately, Broodlords are historically bad at... Oh. Doesn't seem to matter too much. It looks like the UVU team has decided to tap out of this one. Unfortunate, but that means we get to go on to Game 4, which is less unfortunate.
Into 4 queens. I'm like, why doesn't he just keep those back and just keep the creep back?
Just
Like,
discussing
that's
the game
big
a little
important
bit from
thing,
the
is keep
UVU
creep back.
perspective.
And just like you were like moving out to defend a base that like had no like was gone, and like you don't move out with mech. Like if you're going mech, you just kind of want to hunker down and control the base as you can.
All right, I know what these guys are gonna do to you guys.
What are they gonna do?
Their Protoss is gonna do a 1-gate expand into like a 2 immortal charge lot attack.
Okay.
And the Terran's gonna do a 2-1-1 off of a command center expand.
A 2-1-1.
Yeah,
Okay, so it's just a big old 2 base push.
basically.
Almost 5,000. Yeah, I'm at 3,600, 36. So he's like,
All right.
when he came in with the 2-1-1, there was nothing I can do. I was just like, oh, I'm screwed.
Let me pull up the 2-1-1 build. Maybe I'll just do that.
Like all turns always go 2-1-1 or lethal rushes.
I think the thing is, if I'm Protoss, we just win that. Because
Well,
like I
you're playing
can
random,
go mess.
All I know is they're betting on them winning this because they practice a lot of 2v2s. So, am I supposed to make it on E Central?
Interesting. Predictable outcome, you say?
Third.
I think they probably should have won that. The real problem was Igneal was unable to really capitalize on anything.
And then I can go to
But
Masters.
It's just kind of what happens.
Yeah, but I still.
He was unable to do anything with his early Hellions, and then wasn't able to transition
see what they're
for
saying.
that.
Give me a minute. I need.
Would you guys mind inviting me when that game comes up?
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was rough.
Oh,
Bio
okay.
just
So
destroys
right
me.
now we
That's
have, so the score overall is 2-1.
Yeah, I mean,
with
for
UVU in the
for
lead,
Terran
so
Zerg,
I'm gonna need you
could
to
have
just
gone
chill the frick out.
through the bio actually.
But I will be right back.
All right, so do we want to cheese or do we want to try and go
No,
for late game?
don't cheese on this map. It's way too big.
That's why it's good. Oh, if
It's
is it the
not good.
ginormous?
That's why
ginormous
it's
map?
good. No.
No, because everyone plays super greedy.
teammates are
It's
gonna
not.
die.
You remember the
This is
last time you
game.
cheesed in a 2v2? You guys lost.
Yeah,
We're not cheesing,
I'm
David.
just addicted to cheese. You know,
Yeah, we're not cheesing.
it's my meth.
No,
All right,
dude.
is the game up?
Oh my gosh, Liberators are so strong.
Wait, can you guys invite me?
All right,
No?
if it's double Terran, are you going mech or bio? Bio. Which do you feel more comfortable with?
Well, considering Caleb's never done mech before.
Yeah. Okay. You're just
Bio.
gonna go bio. Okay, so I'm gonna try and do something that complements that. Okay.
Whoa. What are these guys? Diamond? Diamond.
They're diamond, but they
Diamond
practice like the same build over and over again.
I'm
It's
gonna go
2-1-1, right?
The Terran does 2-1 usually,
No, don't go mute. Let's get in another channel, dude.
and the Protoss is gonna do a 1-gate expand into like a 2 immortal 8-gate charge 2 base attack. So basically, they're just doing a big 2 base attack.
Okay.
Okay. So, okay, if I'm
They've had their chance to discuss the game. Looks like they're just going to be preparing for a 2 base, but right now, the odds of UV losing off of this one is pretty small. We got a Platinum who looks like hasn't really played a whole lot in a while. Let's see. Let's do some snooping. Profile summary. So it looks like this person that's unranked is roughly gold 1. About 2,800 MMR, a little less. But his partner, the Terran player, Yanni, is Diamond League versus 2 Diamond League, a random and a Terran. Both of which have been placed in Masters in the past. So my bet's definitely on UVU. Not that I'm biased or anything, because I play for them. But this map is a lot more closed in than the other one. Not a whole lot of flank. It's pretty much just one straight line from your base to the other, with one big ramp leading into these naturals, and then some bases scattered across the center of the map, which is difficult to defend. Right, good luck, have fun's come out, and we've got Yanni, I believe that is how you pronounce the name, with the gold Terran. Ooh, accidentally pulling 3 workers instantly. A bit of a misplay, but not that big of a deal. Yanni in the orange Terran, and then we got the pink Protoss with Idaman, or Idaman. I believe that makes more sense. Idaman. Putting his pylon down and going for an early scout, checking for any cheeses. We have Grufzar, which it normally plays a random, and so it looks like this time he's gotten Zerg. Did a double hatchery trick, a double extractor trick, so he can just get a couple workers out a few seconds faster. And then we have finally Sojourn in the blue Terrans. That first scout is coming up now. Sees that the build is pretty normal. Oh, actually, it's going to be able to scout out this double refinery, which is very unusual. We'll have to see what comes of that. We already have the expansion coming down for Grufzar. And in the backline, we're just seeing pretty standard openings. Single refinery. Gateway. Should be seeing an assimilator most likely next. Perhaps a second gateway if they're feeling a little more worried. But it seems most likely that assimilator is going to show up. Really, we just got a idle drone sitting there. I guess I should say probe. 2 of them. I'm a little concerned. Oh, it was just a misclick. We do got double refinery now. He should be dropping that cybernetics core. Actually, should have already dropped it, but well, he did take that second base. And there's that cybernetics core. Yeah, just a little bit inefficient, but not too big of a deal. We actually have 3 bases coming up just as the spawning tool finishes. Sometimes you'll see them take this 3rd base at 20, but that's pretty aggressive. But it's most likely going to be just all right, because we see that from the Rice team that we don't have a lot of aggressive units being created right now. As a matter of fact, we have no units on the field besides a single Reaper and a single Zealot, both of which are staying firmly planted at home. Bit unusual for a Reaper, but that's quite all right. We see an early Robo Bay coming down, and Sojourn actually scouts that. So that will be very valuable. Let's see how many workers he manages to get from this. The Reaper's coming back, so he'll just have to leave. But overall, he did manage to get that good scout off as well as the 1 worker. So it's definitely nothing to cry about. I would say that's a valuable scout. Didn't even lose it in the process. That 3rd base is now finishing for Grufzar, and that 2nd base is almost done for Sojourn. It looks like we've got a single Hellion out, and then some Marines being created. But nothing too crazy. Starport coming up, that classic 1-1-1. But we actually even have an early lair. This is really quite aggressive from Grufzar. Normally we'll see lair a little bit later than this, especially when you're investing so much into that. But that means that there is a timing where Grufzar is going to be very far ahead, because he has both economy and tech, even if he doesn't really have any defensive units right now. Just 2 queens, which is a little concerning, but as long as these Hellions as well as Reapers can keep everyone firmly planted at home, Grufzar shouldn't have to worry. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening. Supply depot taken out there, which is a pretty big deal. It's a bunch of minerals lost. And then 5 workers as well were killed, while we've only lost 2 Zerglings that were presumably scouting for Grufzar. Even forcing a lift on this 2nd base. That's not something that you want to have happen when you are playing a Terran, or, well, frankly, any other race. You shouldn't be losing your natural this early. But let's see if these Marines get to drive him back, and it does look like they will. Taking out those Reapers and nearly getting one of those Hellions, but he's not taken back to base. He's not done yet. But if he does get spotted by this Immortal, it's going to be a world of pain. Given that these are armored units and Immortals do bonus damage against armor, that would be rather unfortunate for them. They would be very quickly dealt with. But we'll see if they try coming up the ramp. We do have more Immortals coming out. Double Immortal drop incoming, which is going to be scouted. Ooh. Hopefully he was paying attention to that split second. Oop, and he sees it again. Yeah, it does look like they're going to be aware of this happening. We do have some Zerglings for Grufzar out, so thankfully he won't be entirely alone. Zerglings are very good at dealing with these Immortals, but we've also got Marines coming in at the same time, which should be able to take care of this number of Zerglings. We got 20 more coming out, so as long as he plays this correctly, he should be just fine. Alright, now we have those Zerglings coming in. Immortal starting to take shots at the natural. Looks like these Ravens came back to deal with the Marines, and they're going to do just that. Ooh, Disruption Matrix. So it's unable to use emergency afterburners. You can see it's paused, and now it's back, though. This is scouted out by the Queen. The Queen's probably going to go down to these Zealots, but at least they know where the Immortals are. And because this has been brought down, it doesn't look like they're going to be able to pick it. Ooh, they do manage to pick up the low health Immortal. Very good micro. But we did clean up the remainder of it, and it looks like that not a whole too much is going to happen from this. We got a couple of bandings coming out. They're most likely just going to sit here, maybe try to clear the creep tumor, pull back, I would assume. just because there's very little one can do against this, especially if that Cyclone gets a lock on the Warp Prism. There will be nothing else to do, and it does indeed. So it's just going to sit in the back here from long range, as that ability does give it. Take out that Warp Prism. There's a second one in the back, thankfully for Protoss, but so far it looks like it's not really going to go anywhere. Ooh, but the Cyclone actually is going to be taken down, which is rather unfortunate. We look at the unit tab right now. There's a lot of Zerglings on the field, 26, as well as 2 siege tanks around here and 2 Ravens. But these Marines over here are going to do plenty of damage before they get taken down. And actually, if those Zealots connect, they might be able to wipe out those Zerglings. If we go to the production tab, there's no more in production. But 2-2 is coming up for our Zerg player here. If we look at our upgrades, we actually don't have much going on for anyone else. They don't even have stim at this point, which is unfortunate. It looks like stim for the blue Terran Sojourn is just being started. But they are just all in this. We don't see any expansions on the backline. We don't even see this base completely filled. So we're just seeing a steady stream of Marines and tanks. But given that they are a full 2 bases ahead on the UVU side, it seems unlikely that they'll be able to get any real damage done. Ooh, this medevac's really low. It has a tank in it. Will it be taken out? It will be taken out. The auto turret does get it, and it looks like the very slightly slower Warp Prism is going to be taken out by the Vikings as well. And the Zerglings are starting to do some aggressive damage. There's no wall off here, so that means that they're going to be able to get right into the mineral line, as well as start working on that ramp. SCV's being pulled. He knows that these have nowhere to run. He would have to bring down the supply depot, would just let more things into his base. It's looking like they don't have a whole lot to defend here. Not a whole lot going on in the Protoss base. A lot of Lings just coming around, and even worse for them, 2-2 for them is about to finish, as well as stim for Sojourn. The supplies are heavily favoring the UVU team, both hovering around 100, while the other two average about 30. And it seems like it's about GG. It seems very, very unlikely that they're going to be able to pull out of this. Yep, and there it comes. So it looks like UVU takes it. With 3-1, having won both of the 1v1s and one of the 2v2s. Take a look at the graphs at the end. Army value tells it all. We see there was just a lot of units being produced from around 6 minutes to 8 minutes, with most of the attack happening around 7. But around 8 minutes, it's turned back, and the production just can't be beat. The production for that UVU team can't be beat. We even look at the workers' active tab. They weren't really able to get any dips there. There was a very small one for the red Gruffsar, but he still peaked at significantly higher than either of the Rice University players, who hovered around 30 for most of the game from 4 minutes to the end. I feel like they definitely could have done more damage had they worried more about their own economy when attacking, as opposed to just shoving everything into flooding Marines, but hindsight is 20/20 indeed. But that is the end of this week's tournament, and hopefully next week we'll be able to see some fun things.